Shadows of the Past. In establishing the friendship between these two, it really showcases the camaraderie. Then we have an understanding of this character's motivation to fight back against the aliens. So we see the flashback of the abduction, the results of the interaction with the aliens, which leads to his demise, and then we understand the emotional arc of the character immediately. And it gives us a sense of who this guy is that we meet in the beginning, and why he is the way he is, and the motivation that pushes him forward. And there's a lot of subtle foreshadowing here. The movie that they plan to watch, Bad Boys, the reasoning behind why he wears the sunglasses, all these little bits of symbolism that gives us an understanding of who this character is and how it came to pass.
Shadows of the Past. Okay, a very interesting short film. I like the friendship, the connection, the relationship between the protagonist and his friend. It's very tragic what happens to his friend. He's taken away by the aliens, and we get to understand why the protagonist is so angry with the UFOs and the aliens, and why he's so devoted to shoot them and take them down and trying to get vengeance. It's a story that we can relate to. I think that it's a very passionate project. I mean, it was made with not too much budget. It's easy to say that, but that doesn't matter because you get the the feeling. You get to feel the passion of the filmmaker, and it's an interesting, it's a fun experience. I like the visual effects. I mean, they're a bit limited, but there's some charm to them. You know, when he takes down the UFO and explodes and everything. And I like the Bible quotes too. It was like a bit of a Tarantino sci-fi short film, and it was fun. Yes, thank you very much for singing it, and best of luck with your project.
In this film, Shadows of the Past, this film is about the revenge of this guy's brother because his brother was wronged by aliens. I think the use of color and lighting was really interesting and unique. The red in the beginning was very daunting, and the kind of blue gray tone for most of the rest of the film was it kind of gave it an old time film vibe, like a black and white film, but also it made it more ominous. Like they really achieved that sci-fi vibe that they were going for. I like the use of location during the part when the brother is affected by the aliens, and I liked the high contrast of the film throughout.
This film is called Shadows of the Past. This was an exciting thriller slash sci-fi short. It does a great job off the top setting up the premise, two sides, humans and aliens, and the need for a peacemaker. The cinematography was effective, especially during the nighttime scenes with the UFO, its presence being quite frightening. The acting was fabulous, very believable friendships and bravery displayed. I love the highly dramatic music, especially during the nighttime scenes in the field. Fascinating ending. Well done short. Shadows of the Past. Check it out.
All right, with the director and star of Shadows of the Past from Australia, Loki is in. Is it looks like he's on a train, and then Locky, where are you? You're at home.
Yeah, I'm at home. I'm at home.
So it's 10:41 in Toronto p.m. and it's 2:41 and where you guys are.
Yep, yep.
So Shadows of the Past is a prequel to a film, another film of yours, right? But we don't need to know, like the audience doesn't need to know, doesn't have to know the first film that was made to order to understand this story, correct?
Yeah, yeah, that's true. Yes.
So tell me, so how many films have you made of this series?
Well, so far I've made four of them, and the series isn't over yet. We're actually working on some new episodes, literally right as we speak. And me and Loki have been, well, Loki's been co-writing it with me, and we've been
Oh,
working on creating these new episodes to come out later this year. And yeah, that should wrap up the series once we're done with that. But as of right now, we've only made four of them.
you've only made four of them. But
Yeah.
that's am I fair to say that you guys are both in your like early 20s, correct?
Yes. Yes. Oh, he's 19. I'm 21.
He's 2019, 21. So you like Loki, have you gone to film school? Like how did you learn how to make films?
Me or
Yeah.
Oh yes, yeah. I've been to film school. I just graduated a few months ago with a Bachelor of Film and Television Production.
And you've already started a franchise.
Well, I was working on it before I actually started uni. I started making these films in high school,
Okay.
and the Shadows of the Past I made while I was at uni, but not in relation to any of my uni subjects.
Yeah. We just lost your partner in crime, so
He'll be back.
he got
Probably.
kicked off. So I don't know what happened on the train. Maybe he went under a tunnel or something. You have tunnels in
Yeah,
Australia?
maybe. Yeah, we do. That's actually that happens a lot on trains here,
Okay.
especially when we're in the country. Yeah,
All right,
he's back.
he's jumping back on. Okay, so how did you guys meet each other?
Oh, that's actually an interesting story. We met in high school while we went to the same high school together, and while we were in high school, we did the yearly production for our school's drama department that has like these shows that they put on once a year. And actually didn't know him when I was in high school. I came back to be a part of the production because it got cancelled due to COVID. And then, like when I was 1 year out of school, I came back to complete the production after it had been cancelled while I was in year 12. So now I'm 1 year out of school, and Loki is in year 11. Well, that's what we call it in Australia. And we both had co-leads in this play, and we'd been rehearsing it for like 2 years at this point because it kept getting delayed because of all the lockdowns, because like Victoria had very severe lockdowns a few years ago. And once we actually were able to perform it, like I barely knew him while we were rehearsing it, but after the actual show, he really stood out during the performance, and I was like, wow, that guy's really cool. I like that guy.
Yeah.
So I got in touch with him afterwards, and then I was like, hey, why don't we make a film together? And then that's literally how we got Shadows of the Past.
Oh wow. Okay. So Loki, does that story pan out for you as well?
Yeah, I don't know if my audio is working that well, but yes, that's essentially what happened. Yeah, I think I said the first thing to Locky. I think I said nice performance because he was playing a very, very intense character, and I saw that he had worked hard for that, and I just let him know, oh yeah, you did a nice job, good job, and then sort of went from there, I guess.
And if he hadn't have said that, we wouldn't be here right now. I'll just let you know that.
Well, wouldn't people put
Because
you
that
together
really made a
because
good
you're Loki
impression.
and Locky? Like you guys just like fit together. You guys have the name. You guys could be a
Yeah,
comedy
yeah,
duo.
exactly. Yeah, it was just like
Yeah.
it was like perfect fit, because literally after we got in touch, it was just like the ball started rolling and it just never stopped, and then that's how we got to this position now.
Yeah. In a different era, you guys would have a morning radio show, the Loki and Locky show, and you guys would do comedy bits, right?
And
That's
maybe we could look
no,
into that.
but because you guys are your generation, you make movies, right? So
I mean, yeah, that could be an idea.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
okay, so tell me about the idea of like your Locky. Tell me about the idea of kind of this franchise, this series of yours. When you started working
All
on
right, so this
it.
series, I I literally came up with the idea for the series, not just Shadows of the Past, but the series it takes place in, because about 6 years ago, I was just sitting in my living room watching the movie Signs, because
Okay.
it showed up on TV, and I was watching the movie, I was enjoying it, but then it got to this one scene, like this really iconic scene with Mel Gibson in the crop circles at night,
Yeah.
and like he like stumbles over and he drops his flashlight as he's like going outside to like look around because he hears like a spooky noise. And then when he picks up the flashlight, he like pans over to like, his right hand side and then shines it in the distance, and he sees an alien quickly like dash into the bushes, and he gets freaked out and runs away.
Yeah.
And because of that scene, like literally as I was watching it, that's when it clicked into my head. I was like, I didn't even finish watching the rest of the movie. I just grabbed my laptop and started writing down this idea of like spooky aliens in a suburban / country area at night. Like create a story about that, like where it's like somebody has to go outside
Yeah.
and because they hear a noise, and then there's like some creepy alien thing in the distance that like spooks them, and then they have to try and run away from it, because it's like, so ironically it's a very down to earth sort of idea coming from the sci-fi genre, which is very like, larger than life. Like it's very like personal, because it's like, oh my goodness, if you saw that in real life, you'd flip out. Like that's like the natural response. And I just loved that premise of like, how do we make aliens realistic, but in like a spooky way?
Yeah.
Where it's like, you don't have to be in some crazy sci-fi universe to experience it. It could literally happen in your backyard. And like, how would you respond to that? And
So
then that's how I
that's
came
what
up with
happened
the overall story.
and that's what happened in Signs, right? So
Yeah.
if you didn't
That's
watch the
literally,
movie, Mel Gibson gets his faith back, and then when his wife told him to swing away, told Joaquin Phoenix, his brother, whatever, to swing away, that means to swing away and beat up the aliens at the end of the movie. So spoiler
That was
alert,
like
I just
like
gave away the movie.
foreshadowing.
So
It's really good. I was mainly inspired by the movie Signs to create the first chapter
yeah.
of Jumping at Shadows, which was the original one. But then for the other chapters, I like it kind of went in more of like an action direction, and I was more inspired by movies like Star Wars: The Mandalorian, because
Okay.
it has like elements of like, there's this guy who has to protect this alien baby, and everyone's trying to like catch the baby, and the only one person can protect it from all these people who are pursuing that one thing. And like it's all about like, the chase, like, oh, can we get it to safety before everyone like is able to catch up with us and capture it. And also a little bit of ET as well, so like a mixture of Star Wars: The Mandalorian and ET.
Yeah.
For the other
But the
one.
plot points in the Mandalorian is like there's rich thematics, but it's about that setup, right? It's a setup of that. We're going to be people want the alien baby, and then what are the plots that people are going to try to capture it? So there's all this story,
exactly,
right? So it's simple, and then the audience gets emotionally involved because they want to see what happens next, right? So
yeah, exactly. But then for Shadows of the Past, I had a different point of inspiration, and that was Star Wars: Revenge of the Sith.
Okay, so Star Wars theme here, I see. Okay.
Yeah, if it wasn't obvious already, I'm a big fan of Star Wars. And the reason I was inspired by Revenge of the Sith is because I was like, ooh, I like the idea of like the fallen hero tragedy story, where it's like someone who started good through tragedy ends up going down a dark path because they lose someone they care about.
Yeah.
And then I applied that to the villain of the series from the storyline of like the baby alien, because the one that's pursuing the baby alien is the FBI agent who is the main character of Shadows of the Past. So it's literally like an origin story that ties in to the rest of the series, so it has more context. And instead of him just being like a one-dimensional, bad guy character who's just like, oh, I'm evil and I'm going to get you guys, like just like very cliche. He's more of like the tragic fallen hero that's like a shadowy reflection of the protagonist if the protagonist went down a darker path. So it's like that kind of two-sided coin sort of dynamic. So it's like, you think he's a one-note kind of, movie villain, but then you realize, oh, actually he's like a shadowy reflection of the hero character. And that's like a classic trope in a lot of literature, where it's like we're not so different, you and I kind of character who ends up becoming the villain.
Yeah. So now you and Loki are collaborating on screenwriting on the next one?
Yes, we are.
So Loki, have you written before?
I've written a few things. I write mainly novel based things. So Locky and I are actually working together to sort of do bigger picture and smaller details at the same time, filling each other's gaps. And so it's working out pretty good thus far.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So, but
Yeah,
Locky,
Loki's really good with the details. Like
okay,
he's good at fleshing out like all the mini like just the finer elements that usually I overlook in terms of like because I like to focus on theme and
yeah,
like overarching storylines and also characters,
yeah,
whereas Loki's more you know clinical detail focus where it's like the specifics. He likes the specifics. So it's like I come up with the characters and the themes and the storyline, and he makes everything like very, grounded in reality and has a lot of like detail and nuance to those bigger ideas. So it's like we kind of complement each other's writing style in that way.
gotcha. And so, but you also act as well, right, Locky?
Yes, yes. We both act, but we're collaborating on the writing aspect as well, just
So I'm
because it's.
assuming you're gonna make keep your characters alive then.
I mean, for a time,
Yeah,
for a time, but like obvious. Well, I can't really go into that, but I feel like I kind of need to now because otherwise it's too obvious if I just remain quiet. But yeah, like the characters, they'll stay alive until their character arcs are complete and
okay,
it's fitting for the narrative for them to die because otherwise you just stretch it out longer than it's necessary and then you lose the appeal if you can't let go of those characters. It's like if you try and keep the characters alive too long, you run out of things to do with them,
yeah.
basically.
Well, there's 10 Fast and the Furious movies, right? So when
Yeah.
and they
And
keep
to
those
be
characters
honest, I got
alive, right? Right?
yeah, personally, I kind of thought that like the seventh one with Paul Walker is where they should have ended it
Yeah,
because that one had like a nice emotional payoff, and then they just kept going and going and going, and I'm like, why do you like you had something good there? Just leave it alone.
yeah. Well, they started off as car thieves, and then now they're like international spies who like save the world, right? So
Yeah. I mean, like it's kind of like gambling in a way. It's like how many times can you keep hedging your bets before you lose?
well,
And the characters are like the chips. It's like if you can keep winning, then by all means keep doing it. But you're not always gonna get a return on investment. And
yeah,
eventually, if you keep going, you will lose. So you better be smart with how you use your characters because otherwise you could end up breaking them.
yeah. No, there's like Harrison Ford, sorry, Han Solo.
Yeah,
That was a perfect death, right? Because you didn't see it
yeah,
coming,
yeah.
but it worked for the story, right? So
And that's why his character is still preserved and like adored by the Star Wars fan base because they knew when to end it.
yeah,
Same thing with Darth Vader as well. Like when you know when to kill a character, it makes the character like it solidifies their legacy and allows people to appreciate them for literally like the rest of time, unless you bring them back and screw it up afterwards, which is when it can get dangerous, and then you have to try and backstep like your creative decisions to try and get back to that place where everyone loved it again, which can be a really like stressful process as a writer, like when you just don't know when to quit. You know
yeah.
what I mean?
So tell me,
But yeah,
tell me
like
about go ahead.
oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say the only exception I can think of to that rule where it actually has worked is probably with Deadpool and Wolverine, where they brought Hugh Jackman back one last
Yeah.
time.
Well, he said
And it
that
actually,
well, Australian, right? Like,
mm,
yes, you have to love the Australian actor, but he said he was done, right?
yeah, yeah.
When you throw $20 million at somebody, they're like, "Oh, I guess I'm not done anymore," right? So,
Yeah, money is another factor, but
yeah,
I think I'd like to believe that he returned to play Wolverine because he was really good friends with Ryan Reynolds and not just because he wanted another paycheck.
Okay.
I'd like to believe that. Like the optimist in me would appreciate it if that was the case. It's like,
Well,
oh
Ryan,
yeah, my friend wanted me to do it,
Ryan
so
Reynolds
I'll do it for
Canadian.
you.
I'm Canadian. You're Australian. Hugh Jackman. So they get along, right? So
Yeah, yeah. Canadians are cool.
Commonwealth
Yeah,
countries, right? So
yeah.
we
And it
still give
worked
to the
for that.
Queen.
Pardon?
We still give to the Queen, right? So
Yeah, oh yeah, yeah. Obviously, the Queen. The Queen. See, that's an example of a character who knew when to go, and now everyone loves her forever. Like
who's that?
that's
Oh,
what
the Queen.
Yeah, yeah. Nobody would ever disrespect the Queen because, like, after she died, she became immortalized, and then you can't bring the Queen back to life.
Well, she was 100, right? So like I
Yeah.
think that yeah.
Yeah. I
So
mean, yeah. I don't know how much longer you'd want to stretch that.
yeah. So maybe I think she was in her 90s. Maybe she wasn't 100, but yeah, she was old. Yeah.
Yeah. She was.
Nobody was
She was
shocked that she
probably.
died. Yeah.
Yeah. Like yeah, and like after she died, like I don't want to get political or anything, but like the whole like reputation of the UK kind of just started to plummet a bit, and she was like the main person holding it up. So it's
Yeah.
like she's like I've joked about this before actually. Like she's kind of like how in Deadpool Wolverine they have like the anchor being
Yeah.
concept. It's like she was like the anchor being of the UK.
Okay.
So it's like once she's gone, it's like the whole timeline just
Well, because
collapses.
they didn't like her son, right? So nobody likes
Yeah.
her son, right? So
Mm.
the
I mean,
next
yeah, yeah.
the next guy in
There's
line,
a whole
right?
bunch of
So
things with the royal family, but like I don't really care.
yeah, it's ridiculous. It's silly. It's a silly thing. That's my subjective opinion. So
Mm.
so what do you guys? What's your future? What do you guys like? What are you going to concentrate on? Loki. I know you're like on. What are you? Is acting your thing? Is that what you wanna? Is that what you want to pursue? Oh, he just froze up. Go ahead.
Well, it's honestly, yeah. Sorry,
Go
that
ahead.
might be. Is it good now?
No, it's a bit wobbly.
I'm just more of a thing. Um, yeah, it's more of a hobby. I'm trying to study mechatronics engineering right now.
Megatronic. I don't even know what is Megatronics engineering.
So it's just essentially production line sort of stuff. It's robots, so it's mechanical and electrical in one.
Okay.
Not too specialized in either field, but yeah.
So they're going to take over the assembly line workers, basically what you're saying.
Yeah, exactly. That's
All right.
sort of the plan. Acting might be a way to get some money along the side, maybe someday. But for now, it's just for me at least passion projects, and it's sort of my creative outlet because engineering is a very like practical mathematics based, I don't know, discipline. So you need that sort of creative way to get that creative juice out, I suppose.
Yeah. And what about you, Locky? Is filmmaking your thing? Is it your future?
Well, I'm kind of at a crossroads at the moment where like I'm still going to be making films because I have my own YouTube channel which I run as an independent film company where I upload all my films so that they can be watched for free and gain exposure. So like I'm still doing that and trying to like promote that as a business so that like it can grow into something in the future. But also at the same time, I'm also studying what's I forgot what the exact name of it is, but it's related to like age and disability healthcare working. Or like yeah, I want to do healthcare work in the future, and
Okay.
I'm currently studying to be able to do that on the side as a way to like make money sustainably, so that I don't just have to rely on the film stuff to generate an income. And I'm also working part time as well. So just like a lot of different things so that filmmaking doesn't have to be the way that I try and, make enough money to live on. I just want it to be something that I can pursue artistically, not financially.
Gotcha.
Mm.
Makes a lot of sense. All right, guys. Well, congratulations on the success of the film and the franchise and what you guys are doing. It's amazing that you just keep on. You got you have integrity with the story. So basically, what I've learned and this is the origin story of Agent Nixon, right? So
Mm.
which is a great, interesting name, right? You got political, so.
Well, I just chose that name because it sounds cool.
Yeah, exactly.
I didn't really base it off of the real life President Nixon.
Yeah. But there's an infamous connotation to the name, I guess, right?
Yeah. It does sound slightly sinister just by the sound of it, I guess.
Yeah.
Maybe that's what it was.
And I wish you guys the best. And Loki, it seems like you're basically just came from you're on the train. And Locky, I hope to talk to you guys again when you guys make your next film.
Thank you. Appreciate it. It's been nice talking to you.
Thank you for having us.
All right. Let's talk soon. Let's talk soon.
All throughout history, there has been an ongoing war between humans and aliens. And on each side, some people are good, while others are evil. However, an ancient alien prophecy foretold that one day there would be a chosen one who could finally bring peace between our two races. This is that story.